Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to talk about 5 ways that nonprofits can save money and do more using your project management slash work management software like ClickUp or Smartsheet or other work management tools that you have in your organization. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, so first, quick intros. My name is Alex Tuck. I'm the founder and managing principal of Tuck Consulting Group. And our mission is to help nonprofits and small businesses further their missions through expert project management. Just to call out, we are the #1 ClickUp consulting firm for nonprofits in North America. We have about 60 project management consultants on our team, all US based. And we typically help organizations in North America, but in some cases, we do help other organizations outside of the North American area. All right, Alex, do you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, of course. Pleasure. I'm Alex Morgan. I am the professional services practice lead here at Tuck. I live about 30 minutes west of Alex in northern Vermont, close to the Canadian border. I've been a project manager for about 15 years and with Tuck for 3 years, and I lead, in addition to our professional services work, I'm also a ClickUp certified expert and love talking about the tool ClickUp and all the things it can do, and other tools, similar ways we can help solve business challenges for our clients with software and technology.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. All right, so let's set the scene a little bit. This is a Forbes Mazars report called the 2025 State of Nonprofit Report. I pulled out a couple of findings that were quite surprising for me. First of all, like if you look at what are the major challenges that organizations are facing at this time, rising operation expenses, limited capacity for the staffs, and difficulty keeping quality staff within the organization. That's directly related to the number of nonprofit employees that are out there in the market. 65% said that they were hampered by some sort of staffing challenges. 3 out of 4 have completely eliminated staff or had to reduce their programs due to funding cuts. And 77% had an increase for their services despite the fact that they are getting their budgets cut. So what does this all tie together as? We have less resources and more work to do, right? And so today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do if you get some staffing cuts or you can't hire that person that you need, or you lose a big grant and you have to figure out ways that you can service more clients with less people and dollars. All right, so there's 5 ways that we're going to talk about today to talk about how you can save time and save money across the organization. First, templates, things that you do over and over again. We're going to talk about ways that you can build out some templates within your work management system to streamline processes, reduce errors, etc. We're going to talk about AI a little bit. Also talk about jumping into a single system. So right now, especially in nonprofit organizations, we see a lot of different organizations with someone doing work in spreadsheets, another group doing work in one work management system, another group doing work in another system. And so just whenever there's work being done across the organization, trying to get all of those into one system is a huge time savings and gives a 360 view across the entire organization. We're also going to talk about automations. These 5 go in order of complexity and cost. So once you get to automations and integrations, we're going to start it's going to be more expensive and more technical, right? Versus implementing templates and AI policy is going to be a little bit easier for the organization to tackle. But just finally, the integrations piece, just thinking about all those disparate systems. Like let's say you have a volunteer management system and a donor management system and a work management system. Those are all things that you probably need individual systems, but you can tie those things together through integrations to save time and give visibility across the entire organization. Let's talk about templates real quick. So this is technical difficulty of a 1. Investment takes a little bit of investment. And when we say investment, we mean time and money. And so it's going to take a little bit of investment to go through and think about all your processes and to actually build out these templates, but the time to benefit is almost instant. So you save time and everyone does it the same way. That's huge. And just the way you can start, this is how we do it within our organization, this isn't unique to nonprofits, pick your top 3, 5 processes, right? And then document it. Use Visio, ClickUp, Miro, any of the tools that you use to map out your processes. Just like put them on a board, even whiteboard it, like with a dry erase marker, and just map out what your processes are right now and what they should be, and then build it in the tool. In ClickUp, it can literally take you 45 seconds to build, a 5-step template. And that investment that you make that one time is going to save you that 45 seconds to a minute when you do it hundreds of times throughout the entire year. Examples of where we've deployed templates are annual fundraisers, any sort of program onboarding when you have a new client, that getting that checklist and all those tasks built out, and volunteer management workflows are also great for this.
Yeah, I can just add to that. Obviously, not beyond processes, email templates, document templates, ClickUp and other tools allow you to templatize anything or many things, and anything you can save time that not repeat a process. It's going to be an investment that's worthwhile. So here's an example of in ClickUp specifically loading a project plan template where we've laid out all the various steps of a project. And you can templatize what the steps are, load it up, and not just have those steps pre-populated with due dates and assignments, but really instantly turn that into something more directly usable, something like a Gantt chart or a calendar where you can visualize that same information. And obviously, many of the things in tools like this can be pretty quick, and templatizing it up front is going to save you time in the long run, but it also just makes it much easier for your entire team to approach work the same way. It standardizes the steps of the process, the things you're looking at on a day-to-day basis to see what work is or what's coming up. It makes it a lot easier to communicate across the board when you're all looking at the same information. And it's as simple as saving, right-clicking in a tool like this and saving that template into a database. When you load it up as a new instance, you can have all those dates pre-populated. You can switch them, basically have a 60-day project. If it starts on June 1st, it'll end 60 days from there. Now in ClickUp, actually, they just released last week the new fields for duration and to automatically skip not just weekends, but other non-working days, which makes all of these kind of waterfall processes in a tool like this even simpler to load up as templates. You can have not using any specific dates of a real project, just what you expect the duration of a task or a project or the phase of a project to be built into a template, and then automatically load it on the exact day it's going to start and have it end on the exact day it's expected to end. And that's really powerful stuff. A big time saver for any of your more linear processes.
Next thing, AI, right? So everyone's talking about AI right now, and it's important to really think about how you put guardrails around how your organization uses AI. But honestly, the technical difficulty is pretty low. The barrier entry is pretty low. The investment with this really comes with the cost, right? There's some free tools out there, but you have to be careful with how you're using AI when you're using the free versions, right? Because if it's training models and access by some of these vendors, that's not necessarily something you would use with your client data or even your internal practices, right? So you have to be careful with that. Even accessing the lowest level of ChatGPT or some of the built-in like ClickUp AI features, the investment is there. It's something, but it's not a crazy amount of investment. And the time to benefit is almost immediate. Just like templates, you can adopt those things really quickly. Again, AI can be used to eliminate boring and error-prone work. So we're not trying to replace any staff on purpose. It's just if there is a gap across the organization, AI might be a solution to fill that gap in the near term while you're trying to staff that up, or it could be something to enhance the existing team that you have there. So here's how you can approach it. Make sure you have company policies on AI. If you don't right now, there are a lot of great tools, great templates out there related to how you can do an acceptable use policy for AI. That'll list out things like, okay, here's inbounds and here's out of bounds when it comes to the tools that are allowed to be used and how we're using AI and what data is allowed to be put into AI. And then just take some time to review the AI features that are out there. Like ClickUp has a really great library of resources where you can just go and read, okay, here's how you can use AI. They even have examples of prompts that you can use, et cetera. And then pick a couple of areas where you're doing some monotonous tasks and try to actually use AI to fix some of those things. We host things called promptathons where we'll all sit down in a room together and then we'll work on that one or two things that we want to use AI for. And then we test prompts, and then we share prompts with one another and ask for feedback from one another and demo them. It's a great way to build confidence with the team using AI. And it's also a great way to build out your prompt libraries that you can keep reusing over and over again in the future. Examples might be marketing briefs or like summarizing some tasks within the system. Those AI can just go in, instead of you reading each thing and reporting out, it can just give you a quick summary of all those things, or searching across your entire organization for files. All right.
Yeah, in addition to that, the AI features in a tool like Clickup are even more powerful, I think, than the generic or more language-based basic models like ChatGPT. Clickup has access to multiple of the popular models, including GPT 4.0, Claude 3.7, and Gemini 2.2, 2.5 actually. But those features are obviously super helpful as well. You can use some built-in features like creating subtasks for you, identifying what sorts of tasks might be involved as part of breaking down a larger task. And you can customize not just really how it's done or how, what features you're building on here, but build your own templated prompts. So in addition to the templates we just talked about, you can use one tool to templatize the language you're using in the prompts and the kind of the format that the resulting data comes out. So in addition to this version where you're just gathering additional information and creating subtasks based on the name of a task above it, you can go a couple steps further. I'll share my screen here. So you can take a similar approach and say, as I've built out here, not just creating some generic subtasks or some guessing and inferring what the steps of a process could be, as I've done an example here. Let's say we have a disaster relief planning product or something simple like that. ClickUp can take that structure and say, hey, we're going to have 5 or 6 major milestone meetings for a project like this. And that's just the same feature I showed you, creating subtasks. But you can take that and say, hey, here's a meeting example. Let's also build a list of stakeholders for those meetings, or a list of meeting agendas for these calls, or templates for the emails we'll send out to those clients. These are just examples of AI prompt fields that are leveraging the same technology, and just goes one step after that. You could do it live through various prompts and have all this information ready to go for your team for any type of project you have. And you can take this information or make this more of a standard approach for simplifying communication across your team and saving time beyond just the thinking, saving time on the actual doing of administrative work.
The third one is getting everyone to the same system, right? Like another easy way to save time and money. This one is easier said than done, right? A lot of people are really they're into the tool that they use, and the way we do work is very personal, right? So we have to take into account change management here. But when you get everyone into the same system, you get a 360 view of all the work that's being done across the entire organization. There's less disruption and context switching between jumping into this system and that system, and a lot less like arguments about where things got updated, right? And this is technically not so challenging. The hardest part is the change management that comes with this. However, you're going to have to spend some money trying to, and time especially, trying to get everyone into the new system. So if you're using two different project management systems, you have to get the buy-in from the different groups. You have to develop a migration plan and all those things. And then you have to move everyone over. And so this stuff takes a lot of time. So the time to benefit is very long, right? It's the 5 out of 5. But the benefits are astronomical once you can get it in there. The reporting that you get out of having everyone in a single tool is well worth it, right? So here's how you can approach it, right? You take an inventory of all the work that's being done across the organization if you don't have this already, and then find champions in each of the departments to drive that adoption and to field questions. There's going to be a lot of questions here, especially if there's a new tool. And it depends on whether folks are comfortable with technology or less comfortable with technology, right? But you look at all the systems, get people involved, and then make sure you select the system that's going to work the best for your entire organization, both now and into the future. And then create a sunset plan, right? Build a project plan in that new tool, and help everyone think about, okay, what's the process and the timeline to get everyone off of the old system and onto the new system. And just know that, again, this is super personal for people. So people are going to be frustrated, they're going to resist, help bring them along and manage the change well. right? Easier said than done, but this is going to add big bang for your buck. The fourth item is using some of the built-in automations, right? And so this is where it starts to get very, very technical. We rate this 4 out of 5 from a technical perspective. The investment's pretty low though, right? Like you have to spend a little bit of time doing this, but I would recommend just having someone that is technically strong within your organization, or potentially using a consultant, and just start testing some of the little things that are out there, right? You can build an automation in seconds within ClickUp or some of these other work management tools, and you can start benefiting from that almost immediately. So things like manual copying and pasting things, any repeatable kind of tasks, actually deploying some of those templates that we talked about as the easiest thing to do. And then all of this stuff, right? At the end of the day, it's going to free up time so you can focus on delivering client services, right? And that's what we're all here for, not to do administrative work. And so what I would recommend is take some time to learn the system capabilities. Again, mapping out your processes before you even touch the technology is a huge first step. It's the thing that we do here before we start any technical work whatsoever. Because again, at the end of the day, the tool does matter, but it doesn't matter that much. What really matters is the process. And then, just start automating one piece of the process, then the next part of the process. And we have processes within our organization that we automated the first part of it. And that might have taken 10 hours total with testing and everything. And then we take the next chunk, and then we automate some more of those things, and then we automate more, and by the end of the year we've automated our entire recruitment process or our entire service delivery process. So don't think that you have to do the entire thing at once, because even if you automate one or two things in a big process, it's still worth it. Some examples might be when a new client's added, like making a new space in ClickUp and having folders and lists and things like that. Like that can all be automated. Sending an email when a task is done to an external stakeholder is another example of an automation that you can build. We've done this with grant makers, right? Like when a certain date gets hit, make sure that you send requests for information for grants on a regular basis. So things like that are predictable, they're based on dates or based on some sort of action. Those things are great opportunities for automation. And then finally, think about integrating your systems. This is the hardest thing technically. You probably want to use a consultant for this unless you have some really good technical internal staff. The investment is there. It costs money and a little bit of time from your side. But once you integrate your systems, there's so much benefit, and you can start experiencing that benefit really quickly. So no more copy and pasting from one system to another, making sure the systems are always in sync, and that the people that are supposed to be doing the work in a certain system get to live in that system. And then the other folks who work in another system can work in their system, and all that data is being shared across the organization. So here's how you can do it. You create a list of all your systems, or take the list that we talked about earlier with the system consolidation. Have an individual or a team of folks that are managing this integration journey, and figure out which system is the source of truth and which system is the receiver of information. And then from there, you just start with one-way integrations, get more sophisticated, start doing bidirectional updates in the future. But it's really as simple as taking it one at a time. And honestly, like if you couple the integrations with the automations, you can do some really sophisticated stuff with some pretty basic tools. And you don't need to have someone that's super technical that's writing custom code anymore. You can use some of these no code, low code systems like Zapier or Make to connect these systems. And there are a lot of native integrations between a lot of these enterprise systems. So think about like when a donor comes into your donor management system, let's create a marketing task to send them a shirt when they're over a certain dollar amount. Or when you have a new employee, like a program manager, make sure that that information gets sent to your HR system so they get paid and all the workflows are triggered from that side. So anyway, that's more theoretical. I'd love to have Alex talk a little bit about, or show some examples of how that might work.
Yeah, I think integration, automation, and having the same system, there's all boiled down, or we'll circle around the same pain point and the same kind of major solution of single source of truth for your information, knowing where the information lives authoritatively, and saying that's where we go to confirm things. You want that to, hub and spoke, start in a central place and then disseminate to the other tools you're using. So in this example, we took it from our HubSpot account where we have deals tracked and creating just automatically as deals are moving through a pipeline. We can turn that into a message in our Teams channel that tells us, hey, this deal has been sold. We just created a scope of work for this item, so that in my case, I'm not directly involved in the sales, but I am directly involved in the service. So I'd like to know when those things are moving forward. Another kind of even simpler example for a tool like HubSpot or any donor management system, any of your Outlook add-ons or things where you can track information from an email account into a contact record for your donors or for your clients. Those are all simpler examples too. This example in Clickup, we're using a feature called connected search, where you can connect other tools like HubSpot, like your Google Drive or other accounts and Teams, etc., and search those databases from inside one tool. So again, having one system where you're doing your work, you don't have to leave that system and spend time switching tasks and platforms, etc., re-authenticating to go find information. Up here on the left, for example, we can type in looking for this specific new project spreadsheet that we created, or the project brief document. You can also find an example of the project plan itself by typing the name. And right there, you can click in the search file or the search results and open the actual file itself. So it's a way of linking those two systems together to make it much faster to consolidate information and to see all the different things you need to see for a single project. See, in this demo is a live version where we can see, hey, I've just created a new project. There's a dashboard for this. The project brief hasn't been uploaded to ClickUp yet or uploaded to our project plan yet, but I can find that really simply just by typing the name of the project. If you're using standardized naming conventions, it does help to know which tools you're using to do things like store documents, etc. But at the same time, the tool like connected search in ClickUp will make that less important essentially. And you can create links directly from those files to consolidate them in a central area as well. So in this example, this is a dashboard we've created. We can add files and artifacts for this specific project right into the dashboard to make it simple to manage the actual tasks and teams involved and find the files simply. Integrating those tools in a very limited sense, we're just really putting in links in this case, and then leveraging additional integrations with features like connected search and searching other databases from one central tool.
That's a high level 5 quick ways that your nonprofit can use the technology or work management tool to save a few bucks and more importantly, to be able to do more with less. So my name's Alex Tuck and this is Alex Morgan. We'd love to connect with you. Here's our LinkedIn QR codes, and you can also find us at tuckconsultinggroup.com. All right. Thanks so much and have a good day.